Hey everyone, I'm Ashes,
And I'm Will.
and
And
this
this
is
is
Ashes
Ashes
and
and
Will
Will
Do
Do Disney.
Disney.
Each week, one of us will tell the other the history, facts, and stories behind the rides and attractions of Disney that have made special memories for generations.
Keep in mind that Ashes and Will Do Disney is not affiliated with or employed by the Walt Disney Company, and our views and opinions do not reflect theirs.
Now it's time to sit back, relax, and put on your ears because it's time for Ashes and Will Do Disney. Back for week 2 of spooky season. How's it going, Ashes?
I am so excited to be doing this today. So you know how we kind of record a lot of episodes and try to get ahead of the game just because our schedules are crazy and we try to fit this in when we can.
Yep.
So for me, it has been over a month since I have gotten to tell a story, even though everyone probably just listened to my Small World episode. Like, I haven't gotten to tell a story in so long, so I'm so excited.
Well, and that was recorded in the beginning of September and then released at the end of September. So it's been a long time since you've
Yeah,
gotten to do one, and
it might have been in August that we did that.
I'm pretty sure it was beginning of September.
Whatever, you're probably right, but still, it feels like a million
It's
years.
been a while, especially because I did that 3-part with Star Wars, which we'll have other multi-part episodes coming up, but we're going to do it like we're doing with this 2-part Haunted Mansion. We're going to take the break in between, so that way people don't just have to listen to me talk week after week, and I don't get exhausted and burnt out just recording every week, and then they don't have to listen to me every week.
Yep, and I've enjoyed hearing everyone be like, wow, your Star Wars knowledge. And I'm like, uh huh, yeah.
Your non-existent Star Wars knowledge.
Yep. My friend Jessica at work was like, she's telling me because she listens, she's like, so whenever Will's talking, you always say, makes sense. So, you know, on How I Met Your Mother, when they turn Robin's newscast into like a drinking game, I feel like that's what Jessica has done with my podcast. Just every time I say makes sense.
I
So,
even told you after we were recording the Star Wars episodes that I would say something and you just go, uh huh, okay, makes sense.
yeah, exactly. So now I have to come up with new words, but not today because I get to talk.
It's your story today. But it is spooky season, and I haven't gotten to do a quiz on you for a while.
Okay, what do you have?
We have an Oh My Disney quiz again. That's where I like to go, that's my go to.
Perfect.
As All Hallows Eve nears, it's time you found out who your Halloween alter ego is. Are you villainous or just misunderstood? Answer these frightful questions and wonder no longer.
Ooh.
My favorite part about Halloween is candy, poison apples, pumpkins, or spells.
Mmm. Why is this so hard? Candy, poison apples, spells, or what?
Pumpkins.
Hmm. Spells.
Okay, I said pumpkins.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like my thing. I'm the one who does all the jack o' lanterns. Like, because Halloween was on a Saturday this past year, I did everything on that Saturday. So I spent
Yeah,
like 5 hours carving the
that's
pumpkins.
true. But also, like, let's be real, like, I just don't have the attention span to carve a pumpkin.
That's like my one holiday craft and artsy thing I do is jack o' lanterns. You pretty much do everything else. So that's like my one big contribution to the holidays.
I mean, I'll make Christmas sugar cookies for like 5 hours straight.
Yeah, not me. I tried making cookies one year and like I wasn't even decorating them. I just decided to make them. They didn't come out great. In the technical sense, they were a cookie, but they didn't taste great.
It's fine. I'll do cookies. You do
I'll do
pumpkins.
pumpkins. Pick a color: purple, green, black, or orange.
Black.
Duh, that's what I said. Would you rather eat lunch with nice people or eat nice people for lunch?
I guess I'll eat lunch with nice people.
That's what I said too. While I chuckled at the choices as well, I also didn't want to go with the like cannibalistic undertones. So
Yeah.
my go-to Halloween accessory is a bat tie, a black crow, a lot of different potions, or a broom.
What was the second choice? I just didn't
A
hear you.
black crow.
Oh. Sure, I'll pick the black crow.
Okay, I said a broom. On the weekends, I like to sew, sing, steal holidays, or read spell books.
Steal holidays. No, that's not my answer. I just laughed at that. I'll pick sew just because we all know I like to craft.
Okay, I said read spell books.
Yeah.
My favorite holiday other than Halloween is Thanksgiving, just Halloween, my birthday, or my enemy's birthday.
Uh, well, I'll stick with just Halloween
That's what
because
I said out of those choices.
yeah.
My favorite Disney sidekicks are slash is Flotsam and Jetsam, Diablo, Zero, or the Sanderson sisters.
Zero.
I went with the Sanderson sisters.
Oh wow, you didn't even pick our own dog.
Well,
This is
because in this case, it's not our own dog.
I know, but literally that's what our dog is named after. This is why our dog chews up things. Like you hate our dog.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty strong word.
Okay, you dislike our dog. You wouldn't let me buy her anything at Disney World, and now you didn't even pick her as your sidekick. Like, this is why she chews up all our stuff.
They, only one of the things were mine, though. No, I guess two. She got my toothbrush and my reading light.
I feel like that's a pretty personal attack on you.
Well, she's also personally attacked, like, people who don't even live here. So,
I mean, agreed, but it's your fault she's naughty.
okay. On October 31st, I will be eating candy, out with friends, passing out pumpkins, or looking for ingredients for a potion.
I guess we'll say out with friends because we'll probably be trick or treating with people.
Yeah, I said passing out pumpkins because I'm usually the one on door duty when we get back from trick or treating.
Yeah.
My favorite potion is Frog's Breath, Wormswort, Deadly Nightshade, or Life Potion.
Ugh, Deadly Nightshade.
That's what
It
I
just
said.
sounds so fun.
My favorite movie to watch on Halloween is Hocus Pocus, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Maleficent, or Mickey's House of Villains.
Oh my God, those are all so good.
They're good stuff,
How
yeah.
do you pick? I have to pick Nightmare Before
I did
Christmas.
too. All right, so I was Jack Skellington.
Good, good.
Yep, you are Winifred Sanderson.
Okay, I feel like there's literally not a bad. I could have been anyone
Well,
and
for
been
Halloween
happy with
characters,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're Winifred Sanderson. You're just like the leader of the Sanderson sisters. You are sassy, fun, and certainly belt out a tune at Halloween parties.
I am sassy and fun. Thank
I'm
you, oh
glad you
my
did
Disney.
not say that you belt out tunes at Halloween parties, though, because
Oh,
I have
I
yet to see you
don't.
ever do that.
I don't, but I am definitely sassy and fun, obviously.
All right, so
Okay.
last week we did first part of Haunted Mansion. We're taking our break from that before part two, so you can do your spooky episode. What do you have for me this week?
Okay, so you know that I'm the kind of person who doesn't necessarily like to go with the obvious. Like, I like to go off the beaten path a little bit because that's just who I am. I like to have a little bit of fun with life in general.
Yeah.
So I feel like the obvious would be, basically what you did, Haunted Mansion for Halloween. I didn't want to just quite stick with Tower of Terror right away. So what I did was I found something abandoned.
Think I know where you're going with this.
Okay. So do you know what Disney's first water park was?
I mean, I know there was one, and I know that it currently just sits pretty vacant right now. That's all I know about it.
Yep. So there was. Basically, it's pretty much like I don't know if it's the world's first, but America's first water park was it was called River Country.
Okay.
Fun fact is like 2 years later, Universal opened up one and they literally on their sign put like America's first water park. So Disney was clearly a little salty about that one because they opened River Country before that. But like there's no rules. You can put whatever you want on a sign.
I mean, yeah, and as long as it's not false advertising, it's fine.
I mean technically it's false, but
I don't know. River Country is the world's first water park.
no, Universal put on their sign
Yeah.
that they were the first.
But you said it was a river country.
No, Disney's River Country was the first. Universal, whatever they named theirs,
Gotcha.
put on their sign that they were the first.
Well, I mean, Disney abandoned it, though.
Not for like 30 years. So, I'm not gonna lie, I got really attached to this water park doing this. So
Okay.
I'm really excited to tell you about it. in the mid 1970s, the size of Walt Disney World was considerably smaller than the one we know and love today.
Sure.
Magic Kingdom was the only theme park at the time.
Yep.
As far as hotels, they had the Contemporary, the Polynesian Village, Fort Wilderness Campground, and they had the golf resort. So that's really all they had. Walt Disney World was like, we're doing good, but how do we actually get people to stay for a longer period of time?
Sure.
Because you can only stay at, one park for so long.
It's going to get stale after a while.
Yeah. So that's how they came up with the idea for River Country. It's the first water park to be built on the resort, and it's located at Bay Lake, which is just behind Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground, which we drove right by.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so it's the first water park in the world to have a theme. The original working title for it was Pop's Willow Grove, and the theme of it was a good old-fashioned swimming hole. It's like that episode of...
Swimming hole, swimming
yes,
hole. Ain't
exactly.
no hole like swimming hole.
Thank you. Because I was not going to sing it. And it's based on the character of Goofy and his adventures. Besides Discovery Island, it is one of only 2 Disney parks to have closed, which I will briefly touch on Discovery Island at the end also, because I can't just be like, there's another abandoned, park and just not mention it.
Which I thought that might have been where you were going, actually.
Oh, yep, nope. Caught you off guard.
You swerved me a little.
Ah, good. So yeah, I'll talk about Discovery Island just a smidge at the end. Disney Imagineering knew they had revolutionized the game in theme parks, and that if they were going to build a water park, it would have to be held to the same standards as Disneyland and Magic Kingdom.
Of course.
Since they knew they were going with they were going along with the theme of Fort Wilderness next door and having the good old-fashioned swimming hole, Imagineers wanted to make guests feel as if they were actually at a swimming hole and swimming in Bay Lake.
Mm-hmm.
To make this possible, a unique filtering system was developed which used actual lake water, and they built a dam between the land and Bay Lake, creating a type of man-made lagoon, which would eventually become River Country's main pool. The main focal point of the park would be a man-made mountain, which would have slides winding down around it. To immerse the guests further, Disney brought in pebbles from Georgia and the Carolinas to make the bottom of River Country's main pool like sandy and, kind of give it that like real...
The natural feel.
Yeah, natural feel. Even though, they filled up the pool themselves.
It's man-made, but they still wanted to have that natural feel.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
goes with the idea that Disney wants you to transport out of reality.
Yeah, exactly. So whereas today's major theme park and water park attractions are modeled exclusively using computer software, things were a little different during River Country's development. I mean, this was the 70s, early 70s. One of the Imagineers said, quote, "We had no computers yet. I was given a flat drawing of proposed slides. Having had photography in college, I cut out the suggested elevations on the model, and I then rolled film emulsion under a red light and flashed a film of the flat 2-dimensional plan on it with an overhead projector." So, definitely kind of an old school way to do things, which is awesome, kind of thinking outside of the box.
Sometimes the old school ways to do things are the coolest looking way.
Oh, absolutely.
I think about Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Oh, yeah, for
I
sure.
absolutely love that movie. I watch it every year. I have since I was a kid, but they just do the forced perspective to make it look like Albert Sharp, who's Darby O'Gill, is taller than King Brian, and King Brian is a leprechaun, but really it's just the guy playing King Brian is just way farther back when they're doing the scene.
And nowadays it would absolutely be a computer enhanced thing.
100%, but it was just such a basic trick that looked really good for its time.
Yeah, for sure. So he goes on to say, "We quickly developed and fixed the film, yielding a 3-dimensional model to work with. I built the slides out of fiberglass, just as the real ones would be, and figured out the theme wood tower heights needed for a marble to roll down them." So, thought that was pretty cool. On June 19th, 1976, Disney's River Country opened its doors for the first time, commemorated by Susan Ford, so President Ford's daughter,
Mm-hmm.
sliding down the Hoop and Holler Hollow, the park's main slide duo. So admission was $4 for adults and $3 for children.
If I was back in the day hearing that price, I'm sure I'd be clutching my pearls.
No, you wouldn't though. Even back then, it was only around $12 and $16
Oh, wow.
in like
Okay.
today's money.
Well, then maybe I'd be clutching my pearls at how cheap it was.
I mean, if you had pearls, well, like you clearly could afford the $12 and $16.
And
You
I'd
don't
clutch
have
them.
pearls. Yes, clearly. Even in 2001, a day ticket for River Country only cost $16.91. So equivalent today is still only $23. So like if it was still a thing, we could have gone for like 23 bucks. That
That's not
blows my
bad at
mind.
all.
Although I'm sure they still would have made it more expensive,
Of
but
course they would.
that's like the cheapest park ever.
Yeah, right.
Most sources peg the size of Typhoon Lagoon as 56 acres, making it around 9 to 10 times larger than River Country. Just to kind of give you like a perspective
Yeah.
on like, which we've never been to Typhoon Lagoon, but knowing that it's 9 to 10 times larger than River Country, like clearly River Country's smaller,
Sure.
or Typhoon Lagoon is definitely bigger.
Yeah.
So, either way, River Country frequently hit capacity, and often had to like close its, admissions due to reaching capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So capacity for River Country was about 4,700 guests per day,
Okay.
which to me blows my mind because almost 5,000 people sounds like a lot of people. So
But in the grand scheme of things, when you think about like Magic Kingdom hitting capacity for the day on like Christmas Eve, that's way more than 5,000 people.
I know, but how many people is that? Because it's probably a completely mind-boggling amount of people, but it just sounds like so many people. Which, granted, when you walk through there, sometimes it feels like
It feels
a
like a lot of
bazillion people.
But then you get to certain spots and you're like, oh, it's not crowded at all here today.
Oh, I know, but then I walk onto Space Mountain 2 times in a row, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yep.
So, River Country had a small but mighty repertoire of attractions and fun things to do. So, we're going to talk about a couple of them. So, it had 2 different pools. So, it had Bay Cove and Upspring Plunge.
Okay.
So, Bay Cove was that one with the sandy bottom, and it had the lake water on it. Or, in it, not on it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And that one, to have the lake water, what they did is they had this like bladder, basically. It's like this rubber filled bladder, I guess you'd call it, that
Okay.
separated. I know that's the word they used. I'm like, okay. But it separated Bay Lake from their Bay Cove.
Okay.
And really, it only went like 6 inches above the water level. And because it was a bladder, I guess it floated, so it changed with the rising levels of the water if it went up or down.
Mm-hmm.
But it kept them separated. To me, it still seems like all it would take is one little splash for, clearly lake water to get into Bay Cove, but
Right.
whatever. Either way, so that's what separated them. There really wasn't a whole lot of separation. I think there was a separation between like that bladder and like where people could swim as well,
Mm-hmm.
just so that way people didn't, fall out into the lake. But so Bay Cove it was about a half acre in size. It had a tire swing, a boom swing, a rope climb, a T-bar drop, and then Upspring Plunge was smaller, and it was more like a normal swimming pool. Like it had the normal swimming pool bottom, and it was a little bit more like relaxing and kind of like a normal recreational swimming pool. Clearly, neither of these were heated swimming pools either, because one, you're not going to heat the lake water.
Right.
So typically, most of the time in Florida, it's fine not heating it, but there are a few months in the winter where even in Florida, not heating an outdoor pool is still kind of cold.
It's chilly.
So often this place would close for a few months during the winter, just like Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Bay even closed for a few months during the winter just for like their renovations
That
basically.
makes sense.
So,
Haha, makes sense.
haha. So the Hoop and Holler Hollow was the main duo of water slides. It was like the main attraction, and that when it emptied into Bay Cove, one of them was 160 feet and the other one was 260 feet, which is actually like a pretty good size. Like,
That's pretty decent
yeah, like you
height.
see the aerial views of them, I'm like, that is quite the long water slide.
Yeah.
Slippery Slide Falls was another pair of slides with a 7-foot drop into upspring plunge. The slide itself was 16 feet, so like you sit down, you go 16 feet down a little water slide, and legit, it is a free fall 7 feet into the pool. Like, I want to die a little bit thinking about that.
I don't know. To me, that does sound fun, and I know that's going to sound weird for me because I don't like the big drops and thrills, but I always used to love going to the pool over the summer, and I'd get on the diving board, like the higher diving board, and like jump off of that. Like that never scared me for some reason.
I don't know. I can literally ride Tower of Terror like multiple times in a row. And just seeing the pictures of the straight 7-foot drop of the water slide, I'm like, nope,
Which
I'm
is
out.
funny because I can't do Tower of Terror. One day I will, but I don't like those big thrill ride drops. And you're like, that's fine. And then there's me being like, yeah, I'll do a 7-foot drop out of water slide, and you're like, absolutely not.
Yeah, you and I are something well. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I would probably get over it and do it, but it seriously just looked terrifying. Just the free fall. Because I don't think you think about it now, I've never seen a water slide like that anywhere.
No, absolutely not. It just pretty much shoots you right directly into the water.
Yeah, this straight just
There's no drop.
7 feet down.
I would do that. That sounds fun to me.
Ah.
I don't know, maybe because I know I'm just going to land right in the water, so it's not scary.
Yeah. Meh. Anyways, the Whitewater Rapids was sort of an inner tube slide that started out as a lazy river, then picked up speed going downhill and ending with a splash into Bay Cove, which, not gonna lie, looked at the pictures and I want to go on this ride so bad and it doesn't even exist. Like,
But
first
you
of
wanted
all,
to.
I love lazy rivers, so to start as lazy river, it looks amazing, and then it's like kind of like little whitewater rapids, which also I love, sounds amazing, and then it just kind of like this little like inner tube slide thing down into the cove. It looked like a blast. It
Sounds fun.
Yeah, so I want to go, and it's not there.
I mean, yeah, I don't think you do want to go.
No.
Now, so.
Valid. Indian Springs and Kitty Cove were little areas with slides and spraying fountains for little kids and preteens, respectively. Cypress Point Nature Trail took walkers through trees along the coast of Bay Lake. So one of the quotes that they used like to advertise it, which I'm a struggle bus through this one.
Okay.
So it said that River Country is the kersplashingest, kid-laughingest, slipperiest slidingest, raft ridingest, rope swingingest, swan divingest, summer swimmingest, sun snoozingest, picnicking-esque, old-fashioned, good, clean, wet American fun you've ever had.
That was pretty good. You didn't stumble too much.
Okay,
That was
I
good.
read it more than once. And it said, but this one made me giggle. It also says, bring a swimsuit and a smile. You're likely to wear both out at River Country.
Oh.
I was a little creeped out by that one, Will. I don't want to wear.
So would you rather they choose one not to wear?
Well, I don't want anyone to just wear out their swimsuit. Everyone can keep their swimsuits on.
Well, that's what they said. You're going to wear a swimsuit and a smile.
It said
You
you're
gotta wear
going
your
to wear
swimsuit.
both out. Like
Yeah.
you're going to wear them out. Like, so,
Wear them outside.
no, wear them out as in like like you're going to be tired by the end of the day.
No, I interpret it as you're going to wear them both outside, as in you're going to wear your swimsuit while wearing a smile.
Oh no, I don't think that's what they meant.
That's 100% what they mean. They're not going to sit there and be like, go out and play, and then your trunks are going to be all gone by the end of the day. There's no way that was their intent. I interpret that as you're going to wear both. That's why you need to bring them, because you need to wear your swimsuit because you're going to get all wet, and wear your smile because you're going to have fun.
Like, you go play, kids, wear yourselves out.
No.
Okay, cool. Well, I can't wait to see what everyone else thinks and
Give your votes. Give us comments when this episode comes out.
Yep.
Does it mean wear it out as in you're going to wear your trunks out and not have them at the end of the day? Or bring them because you need to wear them in the pools?
I'm pretty sure you're wrong. But I can't wait to see what other people think. Since Goofy was River Country's mascot and could be seen occasionally sliding down Hoop and Holler Hollow...
I'm going to give you credit for saying that too, because if I had to say it that many times, I'd have to be editing it out quite a bit, because I know I'd mess it up, and you've yet to mess it up.
Thanks. I try. You could also find Goofy on a variety of park merch and on the logo. There are also some really cool pics where you can see him, like, legit sliding down the water slides.
Like the character was sliding in the slides?
Goofy sliding down the water slide, which I can only imagine then splashing into the pool and getting, his fur all wet, and then somehow having to paddle himself out of that pool, which is pretty deep.
I mean, this is almost as daring as Mickey standing on top of Epcot.
Yeah, but one of those is real. And one of those is not. Because apparently Mickey never actually stood on Epcot. Childhood lies. But there's real pictures of this.
I mean, that's cool.
It is really cool. So I found a couple quotes from people that... Because by and large, most guests seem to have had happy memories of River Country.
I mean, it sounds like a fun place.
Yeah. So I found a couple quotes of people talking about it. So one person said, "Oh my gosh, this place was fabulous. We used to camp at Fort Wilderness every summer and would spend a couple days at River Country. I can remember going home after the first visit. Having never been to a water park, there weren't really any back around 1976, struggling to explain to my friends exactly what it was. So much fun. It felt big and there was a lot of ground to cover." Another person said, "My favorite was the inner tube ride, the Whitewater Rapids," which I'm just going to pretend like that was me too, which started and ended with small waterfalls you would go over. There would be a zillion tubes all tangled together and over you'd go. So much fun. The grounds were gorgeous, built around that lake, and the water even then was very murky, so it had a very real feel to it, which sounds a little gross to me, but I'm a little bougie, so...
Yeah, you are a little bit. See, I used to vacation in New York to visit my cousins, and we'd go swimming in... They call it the crick. I call it a creek.
Okay, wow.
We've even joked about it years later about who's right and who's wrong. But we used to play in that, and that's a natural creek with murky water. It was fine.
Ew.
It was just always kind of that thing of, like, just don't drink it. Don't get it in your mouth.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever.
I mean, I don't get regular pool water in my mouth. I don't like that either.
Again, I fully admit I'm just a little bougie, so it's fine. Anyways, they say, the slide into the pool, the slippery slide falls, terrified me, which again, same, as it ended about 8 feet above the water and you would just drop. We would stay until they closed at 10 p.m. and you would just be exhausted. It made Fort Wilderness seem like a destination.
Sounds like they were just as worn out as their swimsuits.
Maybe they didn't even have them on anymore. I did see other things say that, oh, look, this one. This one will, Jennifer also had fond memories. We'll see later where maybe this isn't the right part. Anyway, someone else had said that it was really rough going down some of the slides, so that's where clearly their swimsuits got worn out.
Like you feel the bumpies on the slides?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously. Okay, Jennifer also had fond memories of Whitewater Rapids. Sometimes you'd get knocked out of your inner tube and have to try and grab onto another one to finish going down. The first time I went to river country, I was 5 and too little to ride it, but eventually it was my favorite ride in the park. Despite its appeal to many, river country was not universally loved. In particular, the rough nature of the slides and the big drops and the deep pools at the end of them made it more challenging for weak swimmers than many modern water parks. I was an adult, the one and only time I went there with my family, recalls Barb. I felt you had to be a pretty strong swimmer to really take advantages of the amenities. Not much to do if you weren't. I'm not gonna lie, Barb sounds like a Debbie Downer.
I was like, sounds like a party pooper.
Yeah. So she's a little salty. She's not a good swimmer.
That's not Disney's fault that she's not a good swimmer.
Yeah. Sorry, Barb. So the natural stylings of river country are often cited as a major reason why guests enjoyed visiting the park, but they did have their downsides. I hated it, said Dennis. The ground was too rocky and not protected from the heat.
Flip-flops, man.
I know, there's just some grumpy people.
I mean, it's being advertised as this is a swimming hole. Like, if you went out into the woods, it's not going to be like, oh, geez, why didn't Mother Nature pave the ground here before we got in the creek?
The crick?
Or the crick.
Yeah, I don't know. You can't make everyone happy, clearly.
No.
So really, all seemed to be going pretty well in river country. And then on November 2nd, 2001, although the D23 website says it closed in September of that year, so I'm not quite sure exactly when it closed. It was either November or September of that year.
It was 2001, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
The park closed for its annual refurbishment at the end of the warm season, so honestly, I'm guessing it was November.
Yeah.
With plans to open the following year as normal. However, when springtime rolled around, river country remained closed for that season. And then next one, and the next one, and the next one, until Disney announced in 2005 that the OG water park was gonna remain closed. So there, wasn't ever like just a set answer listed as to why specifically it closed. They had some far out rumors, and then they had some more like likely rumors.
Was it too many weak swimmers couldn't handle it?
It's because Barb and Dennis wrote letters.
His tootsies got hot.
Yeah. On the far outside, rumors circulated that River Country had closed because a patron died. Or, sorry, a patron, not a Patreon.
The subscriber to the podcast.
Yeah. Died after being exposed to a brain-eating amoeba in Bay Cove Pool. The one that, uses the water from Bay Lake.
Yeah.
See, I'm valid to be bougie. Like, that's clearly terrifying.
You just said this was a far-out explanation, though.
But this really did happen. He really did die from a brain-eating amoeba. Granted, this was in the 80s, and it probably had nothing to do with the park closing, like 20
some odd years after the fact.
Later. There were also 2 tragic deaths at the park during the 80s. And again, I'm sure neither of which had anything to do with the park's closing.
I mean, yeah, 20 plus years later, they're like, remember that time in the 80s? Maybe we should shut this down.
Right. And at first, I couldn't find anything else about these deaths, and I was super salty about it. And I was like, I always tell people about these things. But finally, I had one source come through, and I was like, thank you.
There you go.
So, in 1982, a 14-year-old boy named Howard drowned after getting into difficulties following the drop in Bay Cove's lagoon at the end of Hoop and Holler Hollow. Although a sign had warned, quote, rapid waters, strong swimmers only, I don't know his last name, so we're just going to keep up with Howard.
We can stick with Howard.
Howard's attorney argued that there was no indication of how deep the water was at the end. And according to Reality Land, a Disney lifeguard also testified that on some days up to 75 people would need assistance after plunging into the lagoon.
That's just reminding me of that time we went to the pool in like the 4 foot deep water at the end of the water slide. And like this kid went on it twice, and twice the lifeguard had to jump in and get this kid out of the pool.
I wonder if it was like repeat people, those 75, or if it was 75 different ones.
Yeah, or if they were like, you know what? Either I'm going to get it this time, or they've already proved they'll save me, so either way, I'm going again.
That sounds terrifying. Howard's parents were eventually awarded $375,000. Sorry, 375. Yeah, $1,000. Okay, I said the right number.
You got the right amount of zeros?
Yep, I did.
Okay.
Just checking.
Good.
And that wasn't the last drowning. 7 years later, there was a 13-year-old named Christopher who died, but that's all I got on him. So sorry, Christopher, that your story doesn't get to be told quite as much. I can only imagine it's something similar.
Something similar, I'm sure.
Those were kind of the far out ones. I highly doubt any of those had anything to do with it, seeing as 20 years had passed.
They happened in the 80s, right?
So most likely what contributed to it closing was there was a drop in the park attendance, because at that point Typhoon Lagoon had opened, Blizzard Beach had opened. They were very popular.
Mm-hmm. So there really wasn't a reason to reopen at that point.
Yeah, there was also new laws that came about in Florida that regulated water parks needing to use municipal water. So you couldn't just use,
so no
lake
more
water.
Lake water.
So in order to fix Bay Lake probably to be up to code, I'm assuming would have been expensive.
And if you've already got these other water parks, why bother at that point?
Yeah. This was 2001, so it was right after September 11th.
Yep.
So there's also just a drop in attendance in general across the board in Walt Disney World, just with everything. Nobody wanted to fly. It was just multiple things. Parking was also an issue there. There's very little parking there, so you would have to take the tram or the bus to get there and park somewhere else. So it was just multiple reasons. It just seemed like its time had come, but it sounded amazing. Back in its day. I am sad I never got to go, because we totally could have grown up and gone there as kids.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
clearly our parents didn't love us enough to take us.
And for me too, that one thing, I very much like palm trees, beaches. I'd like to be in shorts and flip-flops year round if I could be. But I've always told you the one thing that is not lost on me is the quote-unquote country feel of things.
Yes, I know you always like your cabins and...
So to go to... if I were to be able to stay at Fort Wilderness and go play at this water park that makes it feel like I'm just out and about, in the woods playing, I would love that.
You would never actually camp at Fort Wilderness, though, because I know your feelings on camping.
Oh,
so
no, I'm a glamper.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go camping, I want to be surrounded by actual walls, be able to be warm, have some sort of electricity.
Yeah, let's be real. I don't see you ever partaking of Fort Wilderness.
If I'm in a cabin, sure, but I'm not a tent camper. I don't like that. I do not like it. I get too cold.
Oh dear, you wouldn't have a real potty. It would just be awful.
It'd be terrible.
And then I'd have to listen to it. My vacation would be ruined.
Yeah, I would mess up your vacation with the complaining.
Yeah, awful. So now, though, this has become a popular site among urban explorers who have climbed over this tiny little green fence that they put
to keep people out.
To keep people out. It's not like some big fence. They, put up this little fence, and basically nature has just kind of taken over. So the pictures are pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a few of them.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have you, because you're the one who runs our Facebook page. Anything that you guys see on our Facebook page is all Will. I have nothing to do with our Facebook page. At most, usually it's me being like, hey, Will, you should post something on our Facebook page.
She'll tell me something to post, yeah, but when it comes to getting everything put up on social media and getting the episodes up, that's me. I kind of produce all this.
Yeah, so, or if you see a comment from our podcast, it's It's from Will.
It's on Ashley's behalf too, but
Yeah.
I'm the one posting
Unless
it,
it's
yes.
something mean, then it's just from Will.
Like
But
I'm going to be mean on the Disney page, though.
I guess
I
not.
have been mean to people on other Disney pages, but I'm not going to do it on ours.
Yeah, not from our page.
And when I say I'm being mean, I mean it's if someone's typically complaining about something Disney related, I'm usually like, then don't go, LOL, ha ha ha.
Yeah. Will doesn't have much sympathy for people who complain
I
about
don't.
Disney.
I don't, so.
Anyways, these pictures are definitely amazing and worth checking out, and will definitely post a couple links so you guys can check
Yep.
out pictures
I'll get some
because
links up there.
it truly is really cool. It's really cool to see the old pictures too, because we'll post pictures of both, of like the older pictures with like Goofy going down the water slide, the pictures of just the whole park in general. Like truly it looked amazing. And then to see it now is really creepy,
all run down and creepy
cool.
looking.
Yeah, like I really like it.
Yeah, whenever I'm getting the episodes ready, I always have to tell Ashes. I mean, I've got to do it for myself too, but to make sure that our sources are being posted in there, so she'll send me the links to the pictures.
Yeah.
Make sure they actually go on the Facebook.
Yeah, but we'll definitely have those. So in 2018, it was announced that River Country would be demolished for a new nature-inspired Disney Vacation Club resort named Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge, which was originally set to open in 2022. The resort was slated to have 900 hotel rooms featuring several Disney characters from Bambi, Big Brother, Fox and the Hound, and Pocahontas. And it was supposed to have a lakeside restaurant featuring characters from Princess and the Frog.
Oh,
I know.
my favorite.
I know, which clearly this has kind of been put on hold
Of
because
course.
of COVID. So I guess in 2016 they kind of started to like drain and fill in the upstream plunge, that pool.
Okay.
But aside from that, like they literally haven't touched it. Like
It's
they
still sitting
haven't
there.
demolished it. Like honestly, no one's there. It's not really an eyesore. You can really only see it if you travel across the lake from Fort Wilderness to get to Magic Kingdom. Like you can kind of peek over and see it, but really just looks like kind of part of the wilderness of Florida.
Oh, and that's what Disney's always done too, is they've made sure that things are separated and they're not sticking out, really.
Yeah, which I've actually read a couple other things that there's a lot of stuff that Disney abandons and just basically leaves in plain sight.
Yeah.
So, but as long as it's not a giant eyesore, like why would they invest the
why
time
spend
and
all
money?
the money on it to just get rid of it when you don't have to?
Yeah, so eventually I'm sure they will do something with this, but I'm kind of sad that we didn't get to see it in our life.
Especially because I thought it closed a lot earlier than 2001.
I know, like we could have gone well.
We could have gone.
It could have been a part of our childhood.
Yep.
Missed opportunity.
Missed opportunities big time.
So just a quick mention of Discovery Island, because it's the only other, truly abandoned park that Disney has currently. Yep. So this is located, it's, located part of the Walt Disney World property, and it's also on Bay Lake, and it's real close to River Country. So between 1974 and 1999, Discovery Island was an attraction open to guests who could observe many species of animals and birds. Now it's abandoned, but one of the names of the lands in Animal Kingdom is Discovery Island.
Right.
So people who hear Discovery Island might think it sounds really familiar because it's still a thing. Because it was supposed to be
an actual park.
Yeah, it's still a thing.
Just kind of condensed into a bigger park now.
Yeah, it's just part of it. So the island had a history long before Disney's involvement. It was originally known as Raz Island, named after the family that once lived on it. Later it was bought out and named Riles Island and used as a hunting retreat.
Oh.
Yeah. Then in 1965, Disney bought it as part of its strategic property acquisition, which, later became all of Walt Disney World.
Right.
When the park opened on April 8th, 1974, it was given the name Treasure Island, with boats offering free passage to its docks. Prior to the decision to fully commit to developing it as a zoological park, concepts were drawn for the experiences based on Treasure Island.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Oh, I know. Featuring caves and encounters with ghostly pirates.
Oh, I want to go do that.
I know.
Let's get that back up and running in one of the running parks right now. Let's get that idea going.
However, they decided that, they would just make it a zoological park, and they basically took out everything pirate. It's really rude.
Fine.
The only element that really kind of made it for a while was a shipwreck set up on the beach, and that was because it was utilized as a set in the film Treasure of Montecumbe.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Nope.
The admission cost in 1995 was $10.60 for adults and $5.83 for children aged 3 through 9. And in March 1999, admission was $12.67 for adults and $6.89 for children. I feel like Disney was just so reasonably
They were
priced
so
at
reasonably
some point.
priced.
The island's facilities were home for the last known dusky seaside sparrow. So it's just a type of bird that went extinct, but it was the very last spot that it was.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
Got its last bit of Disney magic.
Yep. In 1989, Disney got in trouble with PETA.
Who doesn't get in trouble with PETA? Sorry.
Yeah, Disney was accused by PETA for mistreating vultures that landed on Discovery Island. Disney confirmed some of them died while being captured by their employees. Following this allegation, state and federal officials charged Disney with 16 counts of animal cruelty. These charges were ultimately dropped after Disney made improvements, but did not admit to wrongdoings, even though they did say some of them died.
Like, they literally were just like, well, we did it. But I guess technically they're like, we weren't doing anything wrong by doing what we were doing.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So, Discovery Island closed to the public on April 8th, 1999, exactly 25 years after its opening, but continued to operate until July just because they had to then relocate all of the animals to Animal Kingdom.
Sure.
So really, the reason that Discovery Island closed is because it made 0 sense to have Discovery Island and
they just condensed it into one big park.
Yeah, like, why would anyone go to Discovery Island?
They took a small thing and, like, just moved it into part of something bigger.
Yeah.
So it didn't really close, it just moved.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah.
I mean, since its closing, the island has sat largely abandoned with no signs of development. As of this year, all of the original buildings and attractions remain on the island, though several have sustained major damage from hurricanes and natural decay. Disney also considered teaming up with Cyan Worlds to turn the island into a replica of Titular? I don't know.
Spell it for me.
Titular.
Titular.
Okay. Island from the video game of Myst.
Oh, Myst.
Where visitors would solve puzzles while exploring.
Why are these things not around if we need these things?
That would literally be a dream come true for me. I'm so upset. I'm like, why is this not a thing? Clearly this hasn't gone anywhere. I don't know if it will.
It should.
I don't know, like, how long ago this was mentioned, but my heart is basically broken that I didn't get to ride River Country, all those fun rides, and the fact that they even, like, brought up that there's going to be a whole island where I would get to solve puzzles, and then they just haven't made it. Like, this was a very sad episode for me. Well,
this is a little bit heartbreaking for you.
Yeah, I am a little heartbroken. Okay, I'm very sad. And if they don't make a Mist Island, they could just make any
Someone needs to make
puzzle-solving island. Like, why is there not a puzzle-solving island?
They could call it Puzzles.
They could call it Puzzles. That is another How I Met Your Mother reference for all of those who probably haven't watched the show. So anyways, to end on a fun note, I like to always tell you a couple a little fun story,
Yep.
a little creepy story. So, sticking with Halloween, I found a haunted mansion story.
Good. You
So,
know I
this
like
one's
Haunted
not that
Mansion ghost
long.
stories. That's okay.
Yeah. And this one is not from a cast member, so I don't think you.
I would not have heard it because when I was doing my episodes, I specifically was looking for cast member stories.
Yeah. So, this is one from Mumbling Brook on Reddit. So, I have never bought into the whole paranormal stuff myself, not even an afterlife or anything of the sort. But after 20 something years of visiting Disneyland on and off, I had a very chilling experience on my last trip that left me with goosebumps all night long. I've heard a few stories about there being actual ghosts roaming around the haunted mansion after people have died or families have spread ashes of their loved ones while on the ride. A few years ago, I took my grandma on for the first time, and she claimed to have seen contorted demonic faces and smoky, bluish, almost translucent figures standing and staring amongst the characters. Our families always claimed she was gifted with, quote, the sight. Anyway, I just brushed it off thinking it was just her getting in her old age. Until a few months ago when I decided to hit up the park with a friend after more than a year absence. It was pretty late, almost closing time, when my friend and I decided to hit up one last ride before heading back to the hotel. We'd just gotten off Splash Mountain, so of course we're going to head to the nearest attraction. It was odd though. I'd never seen the line so empty. We were literally the only two going down the elevator at the time. So, already pretty ominous. We went through up to the doom buggies without having to wait at all. The cast member never even spoke to us. She sort of just mumbled something to her friend off to the side. Apparently, something had gone wrong earlier and they had to call a medic to escort someone out, which kind of explained why we were the only ones in line. I guess it had just opened up again. Anyways, we get on, and I was totally nostalgic. Everything was just as I had remembered. The endless hallway, the conservatory, the corridor of doors brought me way back to my childhood. I'd always been a big fan of the mansion. Anyways, since no one else was nearby, my friend decided it'd be okay to snap a few pics along the way. No flash, of course.
Of course.
After a few go-to shots of the main characters, he decided to try to get some of the unseen bits by angling ourselves outside of the buggy to get some shots from behind and above.
The rule breakers.
Ooh. It was around the entrance of the attic scene that my friend suddenly let out a shriek and slammed back into the buggy and myself with full force. It took a few seconds of asking him to calm down before he explained what he had seen. A hunched over, translucent figure with a demonic face, like those my grandma had seen just before, staring right at him. Of course, I figured he was just fooling around like the prankster he was, but in the back of my mind, I was actually pretty creeped out. He asked me just to keep an eye out as we moved on ahead, and he curled up as far back as he could. I did, and as much as I tried to keep a rational head, I couldn't help but freak out when I finally saw what he'd seen. It was worse than he described. A disfigured, ghost white face just smiling straight at me with the most sinister look I'd ever seen.
But he was smiling, so at least he was one of the happy haunts.
It made an unsettling, guttural chuckle before disappearing in a flash,
Okay.
almost as quickly as it had appeared. It was one of the most frightening faces I'd ever seen in all my life. I hoped I'd never had to see it again. We pretty much booked it all the way back to our hotel room after the incident and stayed up the whole night trying not to think about it. The creepiest part was somehow my grandma had sensed that we'd seen it and gave us a call a few hours later. She told us not to worry, that we were safe in our room. She explained that spirits are often trapped in the last place they're in, sort of like a box they can't leave before moving on to the other side. But even now, after a few months, I feel like I can't visit the park anymore, which is a shame. I really loved it. It was just a few days ago my friend finally found the courage to look through the photos that he had taken that day. I got goosebumps already as I'm deciding whether or not to post. But maybe some of you can find a rational way of explaining this. After all, it could have been a cast member or maybe a trick of the light, but it's definitely not something I recognize from my childhood visits to the park.
Ooh.
And then there's the picture,
Okay, which you're gonna send my
which I'm
way.
going to send to you right now.
And I'll put these pictures or this picture up as well.
And I just want you to explain it to everyone.
Okay. Waiting for it to come through here. Oh, there it is. Well, just on the initial look at me here, just on what it is.
William.
It's the Hatbox Ghost. I was just making sure I was actually opening the link.
Yeah.
So this would be why he didn't have memories of it, because it wasn't there at first.
It's the Hatbox Ghost.
As we'll learn a little bit more later on, the Hatbox Ghost was an original idea for the Haunted Mansion that failed up until very recent history.
Okay, I feel like you're reading a little too much into this. It was definitely a joke.
It was a joke.
And it was supposed to be funny. And you ruined it a little bit. You were supposed to laugh.
I mean, you had me all goosebumpy. I was expecting to see something that I was going to explain as Photoshop. It's literally just a picture of the Hatbox Ghost.
I know. It made me laugh when I read the story, and then I opened up a picture of the Hatbox Ghost.
But I mean, he oversold it. Like, he's not like this disfigured demon. I mean, he's a hunched over man with a.
Oh, Lord help me, William. You ruined this. Okay, well, I hope everybody else enjoyed my stories.
It was a good story. He just oversold how it looked.
Okay, he did a great job. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He had you totally believing this. He had you on the edge of your seat, and then you just overthought it. Now you are the Debbie Downer.
Well, that's what you get for doing that to a former paranormal investigator.
I'm going to start calling you Barb now all day.
I get tired swimming and my feet get hot on the ground, okay?
Okay, Barb. Okay, well, that's all I've got.
Well, that was fun. I definitely wish that park was still open because I think we would have had a blast there. I definitely want to go to a puzzle island.
Yeah, that needs to be a thing.
Like, of everything you said, that is the one thing that I'm like, why isn't this done? Why hasn't this been made yet?
Yeah, like if anyone knows of some sort of puzzle island, like I did a mud run here like a month and a half ago here.
Yeah.
So we're in Colorado, and again, as stated before, I'm a little bougie, okay? And I don't mind doing like physical activity. I can do yard work all day. I will go swimming all day. I I'll go for runs. I like working out, but like a mud run. Like I just shouldn't have done this. This was a stupid idea because literally the first obstacle
It sounded miserable.
was I was like up to my armpits in mud, and then they're like, "Cool, now go do a 5K with mud like in your crotch and all in your places." And then it's like go over obstacles with dried mud on it and try not to slip and fall, or like go down a slide with dried mud, which is basically rocks, and it was awful and I did not have fun. But literally after doing this, I was like, why couldn't it just be a run where you just like run and then you have to do like a puzzle or like some sort of like game and then you run, and then like why would there not games instead of like obstacles?
I mean, obstacles are fine. It's just I feel like getting in the mud is what ruined it because we did that inflatable 5K.
Yeah, and that was
That was a
fine.
lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. But doing that same thing but covered in mud,
Gross.
I didn't have fun.
Yeah, I want a Puzzles Island.
I want Puzzles Island too.
And sorry that I didn't laugh harder at the Hatbox
Yeah,
Ghost.
thanks for ruining my joke. Thanks.
I was excited to see a ghost photo. I was ready to debunk it, and it was just the Hatbox Ghost.
Yeah, it's called humor, Will.
But next week, we'll do part 2 of the Haunted Mansion, and we'll talk a little more about the Hatbox Ghost.
Okay, sounds good.
That's it for this week's episode of Ashes and Will Do Disney.
Don't forget, we need your mouse tales. If you have a funny, weird, exciting, or just a favorite Disney memory, send it to ashesandwilldodisney@gmail.com so we can read them on the show.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Ashes and Will Do Disney. This is a public group to follow. We're also on YouTube at Ashes and Will Do Disney.
Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you so much for listening, and have a magical day.